Welcome everybody to Web and Beyond Live for September 28th, 2020. I'm Ray Sidney Smith. I'm president of W3 Consulting and managing director of W3C Web Services, which provides affordable WordPress and web hosting, domain name registration services, and other web-related services for small business. And this is Web and Beyond Live, where I come to you and talk to you about things that I've been paying attention to in the digital marketing world for small business. And I just apologize up front. I know we had to move our time back by an hour this week, and so thank you all for joining and sticking with me. Today I have a little bit of a jam-packed agenda, so I want to get into it. What we're going to talk about today are some updates for YouTube guidelines and just kind of talking about some of those content restriction issues that I've been hearing small business owners coming to me and asking me about recently. There's some new YouTube Live streaming analytics I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Microsoft Your Phone for Android. Canva has some updates for us, and there's a new theme for WordPress, which is coming out in December most likely, but I want to talk about it so people who are launching new websites are aware of what's happening. And kind of the big story of this week is that Web Stories for WordPress is coming out, and so I wanted to talk about what Web Stories are and what it is as a platform and what it's really going to do for SEO for small business going into the future. It's big, it's huge, and I'm really excited about talking to you about it and through it, so we can all get to a better understanding of what we're dealing with here. So let's get into kind of the first piece of news here. I just wanted to make a quick touch point on the fact that if you didn't know, what is happening now is not what's happening now, but what's coming up the pike is Amazon is having their Prime Day. It'll be October 13th and 14th, and we're just about 2 weeks from it. So I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar, that if you are in retail or even if you're in service, remember that this is an important time of the year for us to start gearing up for the holiday shopping holidays, right? It's the holiday shopping holidays, but basically these are the buying holidays, and this is really kicking us off into that season. And so no matter what you're doing, it's really important to figure out what you're going to do in time around that period. So if you have a product or a service, a membership platform, I know Robin from Startup to Growth is joining me here today. So hi, Robin. And I know you have a membership platform and a program, and so this is a really opportune time for businesses like that to kind of place themselves in that space, maybe do a discount or some kind of value add offer for free, so you're not actually discounting the cost, but you're just increasing the value being provided for that to be able to increase the amount people are going to be able to take advantage of that particular circumstance. So let's see if I can make this go into full screen mode. I don't seem to be able to get the top bar to go away. It's okay. Next up, I wanted to talk a little bit about YouTube and the notion of exceptions to content restrictions. So in essence, YouTube generally restricts certain types of content, anything that they would be considered kind of harassment content, content that would be showing insulting or bullying toward anyone, but specifically targeting minors, things about hate speech, encouragement of violence, and other kinds of things like nudity, more geared toward pornographic material and that kind of thing. But there are some exceptions to that, and Google places this under what they call EDSA. EDSA stands for Educational, Documentary, Scientific, or Artistic Exceptions. And so I just wanted to go through and explain it here. I'll link to this article in the video notes so that you're aware. And you're more than welcome, Robin. Any other questions you have about marketing, you know I'm here. And so what I wanted to do is to walk through the guidelines, and I'm going to be quoting a little bit from the article itself here that's on screen. But they say that they're often asked whether their policies apply to all creators consistently, or if certain channels such as government, public officials, governments, media outlets, and celebrities get exceptions. And really the exceptions are under this umbrella. Otherwise, everyone is really under the same same set of consistent pieces. And they note here, quote, "Our community guidelines set the rules of the road to protect the YouTube community while providing room for a broad range of views. Our reviewers are spread around the globe, and we enforce our content policies consistently regardless of the speaker, political viewpoint, their background, their position, or their affiliations." Further quoting, they say, "Sometimes videos that might otherwise violate our policies may be allowed to stay on YouTube if the content offers a compelling reason with visible context for viewers. We often refer to this exception as EDSA, EDSA, which stands for educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic." And so just so you're aware of the policies here, one, they say, again, quoting from the article because this is really important information, quote, "We do not automatically give exceptions to a video just because it is being presented as part of a news broadcast or contains footage from a conference. The educational or documentary intent needs to be clear by providing context." So they give some examples in the article here, closing quote, and they give some examples in the article here, like if there's an anti-bullying campaign video that may show actors, minors who are actors, being bullied, they're doing that as part of an educational campaign, that might be allowed under the EDSA exception. Same thing with hate speech, say showing Nazi leaders in documentary footage would be accepted under the documentary exception. Likewise with nudity, maybe a medical professional showing an examination, that might be accepted under the nudity exception. So there are these exceptions that are provided under the EDSA exceptions, and they go on to say that there are also certain types of content they don't allow an EDSA exception under any circumstance because of the sensitivity and egregiously harmful nature of the content, or when it violates the law. It says, for example, content that endangers children or any content with footage of deadly violence filmed by the perpetrator is not allowed on YouTube regardless of the context, end quote. So my point is that I've been noticing a lot of folks who have been telling me, oh my gosh, I've been taken off of YouTube for this reason, I've been taken off of YouTube for that reason. Most often than not, this is because of music, right? There's some kind of copyright claim that's been made against the YouTube creator, and so if you, for some reason, you do get yourself taken off, you need to go ahead and make sure that you talk to YouTube. There'll be a little claim notification in your YouTube channel. You'll go ahead and say, hey, I have rights to be able to use this music, and I'll be able to do that. But also note that you might get these claims, takedown notices regarding these kinds of circumstances. And if you happen to be in an industry where you are displaying information that might be a little bit either graphically, oriented toward some of these taboo topics, or if it touches a subject, or even if you're kind of making an analogy, right? So you're making a fun marketing analogy, and you're talking about, some group of people who might be malefactors. Be aware that you might get taken down if, for some reason, it's judged as not being allowed within the EDSA exception. And so yes, so welcome, Michelle. How are you doing? Good to have you here. And so just wanted to make everybody kind of aware of that component. Next up, I also wanted to talk about YouTube's more recent YouTube Analytics additions. So just very, very briefly, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but what YouTube has done is they have added some new YouTube Analytics specifically for live streams. And so in the live streams themselves, you're now able to identify just a few minutes after the live stream is over, some of the data about who watched your YouTube video, who was in attendance, those kinds of things. You can't identify the exact individuals, but like information about them, how long they watched, that kind of thing. It used to be a while before you could get that data available to you, and YouTube is trying to shrink the time frame there. But they also want to see what total contributions are happening on live streams, premieres, and uploads across a channel. They're giving you some new data about your live streams, and so if you're not doing live stream video yet, as you know, I've been practicing this whole notion of going live every week on Mondays and just getting used to all of the various pieces and the technology involved, and making sure the microphone works. It's a challenge, and we all have to get used to it and get comfortable with it. But if you are intending to do any live stream video, know that YouTube Analytics is getting much better at giving you that data in near real time so that you can see what's going on. I know in the YouTube dashboard, and when you're in your channel, the live stream dashboard, you're able to see how many people are connected at any given time across all the various channels. So here I'm broadcasting live to YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and to Periscope, which is Twitter Live. And so all of you who are watching across all of those channels, I'm able to see some of that information being pulled back from the system and into the dashboard. And so I can see just the YouTube stuff in the YouTube Live dashboard. So just know that you have that information there, and that the systems are getting better, and thank goodness, because we need as much information as we can get. Next up, I wanted to, I'm going to double back. Robin has a note here. She says that she's assuming this relates to increased policing by the platforms, questionable health claims during the pandemic, etc., which can be a good thing. Tough when credible businesses get caught, though. On any suggestions on what they can do? Yes. So actually, this is you're absolutely right, Robin, and it's actually something that I experienced very early on. I was doing these early videos, and I was talking about COVID-19 and really how businesses were going to be impacted. And all that really happened was that the videos were delayed from being published outside of the live stream. So the live stream subscribers would be able to watch it, but the videos were delayed in being published because the name of the video included COVID-19 or coronavirus or anything like that. And it took the reviewers some time to go ahead and make sure that we weren't saying anything non-credible or salacious or denying that the pandemic is happening, those kinds of things. So what I highly suggest you do in terms of preparing and planning videos is to be well aware of the exceptions, right? So first and foremost, if you're using any copyrighted content, make sure that you have permission to be able to use that content, especially if it's audio. Make sure that you have the paperwork, it's usually digital stuff, but quote unquote paperwork, to make sure that you have all of those together, so that if somebody says you're using music you shouldn't be using, you can go ahead and touch base with the appropriate folks to get that taken care of. And then if it's in any way, shape, or form related to one of the EDSA exceptions, just make sure that you're prepared to put into the video title, into the video description, sometimes even into the transcript, all of the claims that you are making and legitimizing them. So just making sure that it's very apparent to reviewers. YouTube reviewers around the globe are getting flagged for seeing the flagged videos, and then they have to make some kind of judgment. Give them that reasoning directly inside of the video description and the titles, so that if there is any issue of conflict, they can go ahead and make a good assessment. The other side is be prepared to respond quickly, especially if you have a video that's going to premiere and you know that it might have some kind of conflict oriented content in it. Then make sure that you go in and watch your YouTube channel. You have the YouTube app as well as the YouTube Studio app. Make sure you're paying attention to it so you can be responsive to them, because they may have questions, and that way you'll get your video back up as quickly as possible. Robin has a question about, let's see here. You have a question. She said a little bit off topic. Nah, nothing's off topic here if it's within digital marketing. But you said Google is Google decreasing traffic and SEO to their sites? Yeah. Reach out to me offline. I'm not sure where you're going at with that, but I'm happy to answer any questions regarding traffic and SEO on your site. Okay, so just moving right along, I wanted to bring this to your attention because some of you might be Android users and also Windows PC users. If you're on Windows 10 and you're using a PC, and you're using Android device like I am. I'm the Google Small Business Advisor for Productivity, so you can imagine that I love Google products. I have iOS devices and Mac devices around here. You can see that I'm actually screen sharing a Mac, so I'm not against Apple. But the idea here is that Microsoft is doing this really, really cool thing, which is they are actually bringing the ability for you to have your phone applications available on your computer desktop. Like I'm talking about like Instagram being available on your desktop, which would be amazing, and I'm really looking forward to this. So I've been playing around with the Your Phone app currently. Now, Windows insiders, which are the folks who are kind of beta testing, or for those of you who are across the pond, beta testing, but the Windows insiders beta testing are getting the opportunity to be able to utilize their applications on their phone on their desktop using the Your Phone application. Right now, though, you can still do some productivity stuff, which is that you can actually have your phone app paired to your Android phone, and once it's paired to your Android phone, you're then able to make and receive phone calls on your desktop. You're able to send and receive text messages on your desktop, and you're able to get your notifications for things on your desktop. So phone calls, messages, and notifications all happening on the desktop, so you don't have to switch back and forth between your mobile device and your desktop device. And I think this is just really phenomenal, so that you can just really centralize your productivity in one space while you're working at a full keyboard and a full-size monitor, those kinds of things. Of course, going forward, the whole idea is that Microsoft wants to be able to bring the Android experience to the desktop, so you'll be able to run your Android applications paired with your phone directly onto the desktop, and that's going to bring a whole new level of productivity for especially mobile focused applications. I use the example of Instagram, but Instagram is a real difficulty for me because I can't bring the application onto my desktop and use it for all of the functions that that Instagram really has. So that's really going to accelerate productivity on that level. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Okay, next up, I wanted to talk about briefly Canva. If you don't know Canva, Canva is a powerful graphic design tool, but it is becoming more than that. And we can start to see where the company is going with regard to its overall roadmap. So first and foremost, Canva has recently released their ability for you to go ahead and not just design social media posts, but now you can actually plan and schedule your posts directly within the Canva environment. So what you can do is you can say, oh, okay, I want to be able to look at a calendar. So you can see here in this little screenshot here, you have like this calendar interface. You can click the plus sign on any day, and then it tells you, hey, do you want to go ahead and push a Pinterest post out on this day and time? It gives you the ability to use one of your designs that are in Canva already, and then you can also design an item right at that moment for that date and time. Design your post, get it ready, schedule, and send it out. So this is really decreasing the gap between the content creation on one side and the actual content scheduling and publishing it on the other side. I'm super excited about this. If anybody's interested, go ahead and check out Canva. And if you have any questions, touch base with me. I'm happy to discuss this. I'm sure we'll discuss this in a future episode as well, because it is just really, really powerful. Okay, next up is... No, we went in the wrong direction. Next up is Canva also has a new and what I feel like is an entirely new video creation faculty. And so what's happening here is that Canva has given both a video stock library, and I believe that the Canva planner is available to free users, but if you're a free user and you don't have access to it, let me know, because I don't know. But as a paying user, I know I have access to the planner and the scheduling features. So I'm not sure whether that's going to be just a premium feature, a Canva Pro feature or not, but let me know. Either way, the same thing with the video. So Canva has now scaled out the ability to create video, and we know how important video is to social media today, or just marketing and promotion generally. And so they now have the ability for you to create short form video. They have stock video, what they call B-roll, for you to be able to use in the background of your videos, so you can place text on top of images, text on top of videos. You can animate things. So I've been creating these GIFs, or GIFs as you might call them, and you can go ahead and use these to create these short form videos directly within the Canva platform, download them, or now with Canva Planner, you can schedule them directly to Facebook page and to your Pinterest board and whatnot. Very, very powerful tool. Very excited to see this coming. Just taking a step back, Robin had another question here, clarification. She said her challenge is when breaking up comments. So Google is decreasing traffic to credible holistic practitioners, same COVID issue as with videos, but to their websites. Okay, yeah. So reach out to me, Robin, and this is absolutely a possible issue for a lot of people, which is that if you are talking about things in the healthcare space, you are going to get greater and increased scrutiny in terms of monitoring. This is across all social media, by the way, not just YouTube. And so people should be mindful of the fact that if you are talking about anything that's going to be a hot button issue within any of those spaces, right? Any taboo topic, especially topics that would be prime for disinformation or misinformation to the general public in terms of public health issues and rights issues, politics, voting, anything that is in that space, stay way clear of it. I'm sure that my even mentioning that word just now will probably get this video flagged by YouTube, and a content reviewer will review it and then recognize that I'm not making any statements that are absurd, and so then immediately will go ahead and allow that forward. But that does require the video to be transcribed. They auto transcribe the video in the background and so on and so forth. For blog posts or social media posts where there's written content, it's a little bit easier for them to be able to identify whether something is misinformation or disinformation, or is some kind of foreign troll or bot that is doing something wrong. Okay, so moving right along, I wanted to just touch base a little bit on the on WordPress. So WordPress is coming out with a new version, and for those of you who are on WordPress, a lot of you are using WordPress websites, and so WordPress 5.6 is coming out. Currently at 5.5, I believe. 5.4, 5.5, either way. We are going to 5.6. This will happen on December 8th, 2020. So that means we're just about 3 months, maybe two months away from the new version coming out, which means that if you're planning any major website updates, that kind of thing, make sure that whoever you're working with is aware of that time frame. So throughout October and November, various beta releases will be happening, and then on December 7th, they'll do a dry run, as they call it, where they release the development out to to a smaller crowd, and then on December 8th, it'll go and release to the rest of us, and we'll be able to update. Now, at that time, we will be getting an introduction of the 2021 theme. So this is very exciting because 2021 is going to be kind of like Seedlit, like I talked about last week, which is Seedlit is a block-based editor, kind of completely defined for the Gutenberg experience within WordPress, and so we're going to see more and more of this come to the front end. And now we can see that with the 2021 theme. This will be the default theme for any new WordPress installations installed after 5.6, and it will give us the ability to have this block-based editing. Now, this may not sound remarkable on its surface, because you think, oh, well, Gutenberg is just blocks in the back end in the editor. We're bringing that kind of drag and drop experience to the front end of our websites. So what's going to happen now is no longer are you going to be structured or restricted by the inability to make things happen on the front end of your website with a theme editor that is block based on the back end and front end, that is in the editor for content and on the theme level on the front end. That means you'll be able to move things around on screen, and in this block, drag and drop environment, restructure the front end of a page or the whole website just from no code, no understanding of code whatsoever, just dragging and dropping on the front end and being able to re-archetype how the site looks. This is a remarkable movement in the right direction, and bringing WordPress into the 21st century with 2021. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this really creates a more equitable web, right? It gives us the ability to create content and make it look the way we want it to, without having to worry about someone else having to be involved to make that happen. So I'm very excited about it. I'm hoping that it really works well, and this leads to greater and better looking websites, because a lot of them need some help. Okay, so my final and kind of biggest story, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about web stories. Now, I mentioned this a few weeks ago when it came out in beta, but this is just remarkably powerful and cannot get less. It just is not getting enough attention generally, but this is really important. WordPress is getting the concept of web stories. Google has built out what is the equivalent to Snapchat, Instagram stories. And if you, and I'm not sure if I covered this already, but LinkedIn rolled out LinkedIn stories. And so now if you're in the LinkedIn mobile application, you now have the capability of doing stories in LinkedIn. So short form photo stories or video stories directly in LinkedIn now. So LinkedIn has caught up with the times, and now you have LinkedIn stories. Well, Google is bringing this to the web. They're bringing it to any website that has WordPress. And I'm presuming over time, this standard, this concept will be rolled out to the web generally. But right now, if you have a WordPress website and you are not taking advantage of WordPress web stories, you're missing out on basically the next evolution of social content on the web. So think of web blog articles and podcasts and the nature of multimedia on websites. Web stories is that next iteration, and it's very, very powerful. So you can create stories directly inside of the web stories using the Google Web Stories for WordPress plugin. It then puts in a full editor into the website, and then you're able to create these web stories. Now I'm going to open up a web story so you can see what it looks like, and then we can kind of go through it so you can see. But in essence, you can open up a new web story. I think this is going to open up in a nope, it's going to open up in the same tab. Let's see what it does. Yeah, so it opens up in the same tab here. It opened up in a new tab on my other machine, but in essence, what you have now is just like you would in Instagram or otherwise, but because you have in this case a desktop screen, we're going to see a little bit of the preview of the other ones, but we have multiple panels of stories, and you can create these stories by putting in images, video, and then overlaying text and other content on top of it, creating clickable links. And here on the wp.stories.google page, which again I'll put a link to in the video, you then get options to be able to they kind of walk you through what the best practices are for this. So they talk about how you can actually create these stories, how they work, and of course they're going to get really strong indexing because they're this new type of content that Google is both creating, but also will then be indexing in Google search. So I'm just really, really excited about how this is going to work for people. I need to see all of you out there using it and creating web stories. I'm very excited to see how this really plays out. So if you have a WordPress website, go ahead and install the WP Stories or WordPress Stories plugin, and start playing with it and creating your own stories. I would say that any blog post you do, also create a story and embed it right there on the blog post, and that way you get both the benefit of the blog post but also the web story included with it. You can do web stories with embedded video, you can do web stories with embedded audio, all kinds of interesting things here, but the idea here is that you have this new type of content that is independent of any social media social network that is. And so you can actually create these on top of the ones that you're doing. Plus, it doesn't hurt you to, once you've created this web story, you can go ahead and then take the same creations and put those up on Instagram and Snapchat or wherever else you're doing stories. So this is a really great extension of that function, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how people utilize stories in a web environment where you have both desktop and mobile environments, and I'm going to be curious to see how I'm paying attention to how Google is indexing and surfacing this to folks over time. So it's just very exciting. I'm, as you can imagine, very excited, and I'm excited for you because now you can actually get this information out there, and you're using a full desktop environment to create it. You're not limited by the Instagram mobile application functions, and it's a much bigger audience to show it to Google than it is to show it to a smaller subset of people on Instagram. It's not that there aren't a lot of people on Instagram, but the number of people you can get in front of on Instagram is paled in comparison to the number of people you can get in front of on Google, right? It's the dominant search engine on the planet, and that's just a remarkable and interesting new development that I'm looking forward to seeing proliferate. So with that brings us to just a couple of things. Robin's noting that she loves WordPress stories, and it directs stories to your website, and you own the content, you own your site, and that is just very, very powerful. I wanted to make a note about a couple of things. We are coming to the end of September, which means it will be October, and October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So next week's session, I believe, next week's session will be a kind of a jam-packed episode, because I'll be shoving together our what's new at Google content, any updates that I've been paying attention to, plus our social media updates. After that, there will be a succession of 3. Instead of Web and Beyond Live, they're going to be Web and Beyond webinars. There are going to be 3 webinars on each Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on cybersecurity, and I have some guests who will be joining me who are cybersecurity experts and otherwise. The first one on October 12th, I will be covering NIST, the NIST cybersecurity framework for small businesses. So I'll be covering the 5 components of the NIST cybersecurity framework. And then October 19th and 26th, I'll have guests who will be coming on who are cybersecurity experts, attorneys, and otherwise just really high caliber folks who will be talking about some of these cybersecurity issues that we should be paying attention to. Now, if you are watching this or listening to this on the podcast later, you don't have to do anything. Just come to Web and Beyond Live. It will be here on the channel page. So go ahead and just come to Web and Beyond Live and you're good to go. If you have anybody who is outside of this and who doesn't normally watch, there's a registration form that's available, and that'll be on the website and everything else. If you want to stay up to date or want to join in conversation with me, I am starting a new digital community called Web and Beyond Community, and you can find that by going to the URL on the screen, www, make sure to put in the www.webandbeyond.community. So the top level domain is .community. So www.webandbeyond.community, and you'll be able to join us in that community. You'll fill out the little subscription form. It's free, and you can join our community and then engage in things. I'm trying to post content there and engage conversation, and if you have questions about how to work with Google and SEO, that's a place to post it, and we'll all be able to share and grow together. That's where I'll be posting the webinars that are upcoming, the Web and Beyond webinars. It's where I'll also be posting information about our forthcoming small business virtual roundtables, the continuation of the small business virtual roundtables, and all kinds of other fun programs that we have launching on the Web and Beyond community platform. So with that, thank you all for spending this Monday, now midday, although typically Monday morning, with me. We've come to the end of our time together, but that doesn't mean we have to end the conversation. You have the comments. Feel free to tweet at me at W3Consulting, W3 Consulting. I'm always happy to answer tweets and video comments and all that fun stuff. If you've enjoyed the live stream, go ahead and hit the thumbs up icon. That helps us to make new small business friends, and so thank you for doing that. We're here every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, unless like today we had to punt it back by an hour, but unless otherwise noted on our social channels, we're here at 11 a.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for spending this Web and Beyond Live with me. I'm Ray Sidney Smith on behalf of W3 Consulting and our subsidiary, W3C Web Services. Have a great week ahead, marketing and managing on the Web and Beyond. Take care, everybody.